This is the fourth and final unit on external services on the Admin Intermediate Trail, which is part of the Become a Salesforce Admin trail mix that I've been trying to plow my way through here. And now 2/3 of the way through the Admin Intermediate piece of that, and we've got a thunderstorm going on. Okay, my name is Jeff Alhadeff. You're welcome to join along with me as I work my way through this and sort of talk it out and try to do it. If I come across something that I think is helpful or beneficial to you, I'll link to it in the description below. Check that out. And if I don't come across anything, then you won't see like a tips section. That's basically what I usually use. Okay. After completing this unit, you'll be able to find your external services generated Apex actions in the flow toolbox and create a simple flow with your external services generated Apex actions. I wish these were benefit statements. That's what I wish. And I'd be interested if a developer would feel that way. Like, you know, how you could take information from outside of Salesforce and bring it in and then incorporate it into an automated process to get more stuff done. Or maybe that's overly generic. I don't know. Simple flow with your external services generate. Right, like this one. This is what you're gonna do. And maybe this is the right tone for this audience. I don't know. I mean, like obviously, the Trailhead team had a point of view on this. I wish there was some sort of middle ground. So if non-developers are looking at it, they're like, oh, right, that's why I want to do that. Apex actions in a flow. If you've completed the previous unit, which I have, you've registered an external service using the external services wizard, which isn't magical, and viewed the generated Apex actions in the wizard. Wow, there's two wizards in that sentence. To see the actions, let's jump into Flow Builder. From Setup, enter Flow in the quick find box, and then select Flows. Click New Flow. Click New Flow to open the Flow Builder. To open Flow Builder, click New Flow. To open Flow Builder. From the toolbox, drag Apex actions into the canvas. New Flow. Do we want a screen flow or an awhile? Oh. Auto launch flow? I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm collecting information through a screen. I'm trying to look at that picture and see if I could tell. Oh, come on. Okay, I did that. Then select New Flow to open the Flow Builder. From the toolbox, drag Apex actions onto the canvas. looking back and forth of these and seeing which one looks like it's right. They have a different order on their page than I do. Okay. Trying to look at this screen capture, it looks like, since it says user interface logic data, and here we have logic data, and the other one had data then logic, that the type you want to pick. Okay, so here it just says click new flow to open the flow builder, and then from the toolbox drag Apex actions onto the canvas. But when you click new flow, you then have the option to pick a screen flow or an auto-launched flow. Having done both of these, it looks to me, and I might be wrong at this point, like we'll find out later, but I think that it's the auto-launched flow that you want to do, because it says here logic and then data, and that's what this picture looks like. So hopefully that's right. Whereas if you do the screen one, data seems to come up first. I'm pretty sure about that. Okay, so we're going to drag Apex actions onto the actions. From the toolbox. This doesn't look right. From the toolbox, drag Apex action onto the canvas. I don't see it. All I see is actions. To see the Apex actions imported by the external services based on the schema we used in the previous unit, put your cursor on the Apex action field. Again, I don't see that. For example, you can see the get account method that we looked. For example, you can see the get account method that we looked at in the external services wizard, along with the add account, delete account, and update account. Add, delete, get, update. These Apex actions are the methods pertaining to our fictional bank that we can use in a flow to find out information, add account records, and so forth. External services that you work with can have many more methods. It depends on the specific service they use and how the schema is defined based on your use case. Stay right where you are. I wasn't going anywhere. We're about to use these actions in a flow of our own. Exciting. First, let's create a custom field on the user object. Okay. So we're done with Flow Builder for now. I didn't do anything with this. Object Manager, then select User. Fields and relationships, click New. And we're going to do text and next. Text. Next. For field label, use account type and length to 25. That's not very long. Leave the rest of the results and click next. Make sure field level security set visible profiles using your org and click next and save. Okay, so next. System admin, that's me. And save. You'll find out why you need this field later. Let's create a user record for an employee, Maria Jones. Okay, from setup, enter users in the quick find box. I think I'm out of users, so I'm going to delete these. How do I delete users? Remind me. Click here. One sec. Okay, I don't know if I was able to figure out how to delete. And I'm in a rush, so I'm not going to do that right now. But Maria Jones. Salesforce, standard user, user license. Since this is a test org, use your own email address. 1 second. Okay, create this. And it took a while because I had to enter in all duplicate names and such. Create a flow. Using an external service, generate actions, ready to get to it. Let's create an account record on our fictional bank. The account record is for an employee who has signing authority on one of the organization's accounts. From setup, enter flow. Flows, new flows. From the toolbox, drag the screen element onto the canvas. Oh, I'm going to try sticking with the auto launch flow here. Although, I don't know if I'm... Screen element. Oh wait, I bet you I know what this is. Was this module made for Lightning? Drag the screen. Okay, yeah, so that was actually using this screen. Let me go back. Okay, so I think this was originally made for Lightning. And you've got to use the screen flow. This one said drag the screen element on it. That's sort of my giveaway. Okay, so I drag a screen element. A label, enter account and type enter account information. From the list of input components, drag 2 text components onto the screen canvas. Okay, I think I've got click done here because click the first text component under the label and type name and account. Text components. Okay, I'm very frustrated. I'm very frustrated. From the list of input screen components, drag 2 text components onto the screen canvas. Click the text component under the label. Type name and account. Why do I feel like I'm reading instructions for a different UI? In the label, type account information. Okay, did that. From the list of input screen components, drag 2 text components onto the screen canvas. I didn't think this was a screen canvas. Apparently this is a screen canvas. I thought the canvas was the thing in the back there where you lay stuff out. Click the first text component under label and type name and account. And the second one, we're going to do account type. And click done. Click save and set the flow's properties, employee bank record. Type screen flow, click save. A warning appears, which you can ignore. So far we simply added a screen element to our flow. Now we add an element specific to our schema so that the flow uses the add account method to create an account record at our fictional bank. Okay. From the toolbox, drag the apex action element onto the canvas. So I don't see an apex action here. I just see action. I don't see. Okay, what's action? Okay, so to find those apex actions, when you add a new action, it might be set to category, where that's your filter by. Then you're not going to say apex here. But if you change it to type, you'll then see apex actions. And then that's what I was missing, because it doesn't say that here. From the apex actions, enter bank service and select bank service at account. At account. For label, use add employee record. Under set input values, select to include add account name and account type. For account name, enter name. Under set input values, include account name and account type. Okay. For account name, enter name. And account type. For account type, enter type and select account type. Under set input values, that's where we are. Select, that's this here. Select to include account name and account type. For account name, enter name and select account name on account. For account type, enter type and select account type. Okay. Select set output values. This says store output values. We're going to go with that. For account details type 201, click new resource. And to create a variable with these properties, type variable. Record user available for output. Record user object. Come on. I just want user object. There we go. And availability outside the flow is available for output. Click done. For guaranteed detail types 201, enter account. Click the arrow next to account type field variable you just created and select account type C. This way, when the apex section finishes, the flow stores the value of the details type in 201 in a specific field on the account type field variable. Click Done. So this is going to take this information and need some place to store it. And we've specified what that is after we created it. Almost there. Thank you. Connect the start element to your account information screen, then connect the account information to the added player. I consider your work. Okay. Again, I feel like this is for a different UI. Save. You can use the debug method mode to check your flow. Click debug. Select show details of what's executed and render flow and lightning runtime and click run. For the name account, type Jones and the account type purchasing. All right. Seemed to work. Under outputs, account type field, account type custom, account details type 201 reflects that as output, we've assigned the action for creating an account details type 201 to the variable for account type that we created. We'll use this output in our challenge to update a Salesforce record. Under outputs, I don't. Where's under outputs? Don't see under outputs. Are these the outputs? Outputs. If, like me, you had a hard time finding where outputs is, I'll tell you, it's right down here. So when it says under outputs, it's at the bottom of, you might have just decided all done and debug details, because you might not have been expecting them to send you to the far bottom of the page, maybe. But in any case, that's where you had to look, and that's where it is. Okay. We could have received an error too. For example, if we use Maria Jones for a name and an account, we would have received an error as defined in the schema since the space is illegal in this field. The space is illegal in this field. I don't know if that makes sense to me. If we create a flow to use with an actual external banking service, you can imagine that we'd create records using unique identifiers and not names, but again, we're keeping it simple here so we can focus on external services. Thanks, this is simple. We can also check if the account was created using the getAccount method. If you want to try that on your own, You can do that now. However, create another flow to do this. In this challenge, we build on the flow we just finished, so let's not change it. Thanks for letting me know. Summing it up, remember the diagram for the first unit. Here it is again. We've now walked through all the steps. Notice that while we had to deal with the schema, a lot of the work was done declarative. Clicks, not code. An external service provider, such as a bank, shares its REST based API schema specification. We got this information from our fictional bank. Based on the specification, a developer, or maybe even you, creates a schema definition that describes the API. Well, we didn't create the schema ourselves, thank God. We reviewed the elements of a schema and the requirements for a good one. When you work with external services, you or your developer can define the schema you need for your use case. The Salesforce administrator declaratively clicks, not code, creates a named credential to authenticate to the service's endpoint using the URL provided by the external service provider. We defined our named credential, https://th/th/names. Fine. The Salesforce administrator declaratively registers the service and uses both the named credential and schema definition during the registration process. We just registered our first external service and looked at the generated Apex actions in the wizard. The Salesforce administrator declaratively creates a flow using the external services generated Apex actions. We just created a flow. Users run the flow. We use the debugger to make sure it runs correctly. Data is retrieved, created, updated, or deleted. We created an account record using the REST-based API. Of the service when we're done in the challenge, we also update the Salesforce record using the same flow. Hands-on challenge. Add a step to the flow you created in this unit so that it updates the account type field on the specified user record. Oh my God. You created a flow that uses the banking services API to add a new bank record, which includes the last name of an employee who's approved to sign the account. The updated flow should allow you to specify this user, and the user's record should reflect the type of account permissions granted. In other words, please make sense this time, we want to update the specified user's account type field with the account type information entered in the flow. Update the flow you created in this unit with a new step. This step must update the user's object custom field account type with the account type information into the flow. Use the last name field on the user object to specify the user to be updated, and once you've updated the step, run the flow for name and account. Use Jones for account type. Use purchasing. Let's see if I can do this. All right, so it's a solid 2 weeks later, bunch of Jewish holidays, and so I'm coming back to this and like, my goodness, this seriously doesn't make any sense at this point, having looked away from it. So I had to review this a bit, and I think I figured out what is driving me crazy with this at this moment. Number one, this says select set output values, and it says store output values here. So I feel like something's wrong there, or I'm completely in the wrong ballpark, in which case, which is highly likely. So that's number one, that's an issue. And number two is the quiz question says, add a step to the flow. And maybe just because it's been a while, but like, do we use the word step? Like, what is a step? We now walk through all the steps. So I'm not really clear. I have to update the flow in this unit with a new step. I don't know what that is. It could be, is that another Apex action? Do I modify the current one? And it could be that, I mean, I honestly, I don't understand this well enough for it to make sense to me. And I shouldn't have to be given like the exact details if I'm actually going to do this professionally, which I'm not. I just want to, me personally, I'm very happy to write for Trailhead for the rest of my life and not work as an admin. I want to get the admin credential because I think that's cool, and I think it's a good thing for me to do. It's good for me individually. It's good for my career. It's like good all around. But I can't see. In any case, that's why I'm confused about. So I've created a case giving content feedback, and I gave them a link to a screencast and asked them for some help. And so we will wait to hear back. From the good people at Trailhead and see if they're able to help me. If you want to learn how to create a case, there's a bit of clicking around at the Contact Us form. Click Share Feedback, Trailhead Content Feedback, and then submit a case. I also have a video on this I'll include. All right. I'll let you know what I find out. Okay, so I heard back from Aishwarya, and basically asking me to create a username with the email ID and give them the access that they need. So I went ahead and did that. You know, I've actually done this a couple of times already. So what I had to do is you have to freeze an account first, or basically deactivate an account because you can only have a certain number of active licenses. So here's what I did. First off, I created, so I'm going to show you this in reverse order than what I actually happened. First, so step 2, if you will, is I created her new account, and does she need a nickname? No. Doesn't need a nickname. And click Save. So create a user profile based off of their user that they requested. So that was step 2. Step 1 was to deactivate. And that was this other account that I wanted here and deactivated. To do that, you click in on the user, and then if the account was active, there would be a little check right here. I think at this point I won't be able to make it active because I already have too many. Oh, look, I was able to. In any case, if you want to preserve the number of licenses you have, go into the user. If you've already created one that you want to make unactive, click Edit, click the little box next to active, click OK, then click Save. That's it. Okay. So I created that account, and I'll get back to them and let them know that that account's ready for them, and hopefully they'll be able to help me out. I say hopefully, for sure they will. Okay, I heard back from the people at Trailhead, and the good news is that it no longer says set output values. It now says store output values here because I caught a mistake and they updated it. Which also means it's been like 2 weeks since I've yet again looked at this, because I was doing another module that they added to the beginner trail, and I wanted some reprieve of trying to figure this out. Okay, I just re-listened to my whole unit of myself doing this. I'm hoping it makes more sense, and I know I normally don't record myself when I do the hands-on challenges, but because this is so hard for me, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, we're recording. And because it helps me talk it out, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so update the flow you created in this unit with a new step. So the steps are, I was unclear on this earlier, these are all the different things that we're doing along the process to build out this flow. Okay? And we're going to, the idea of this step is to update the user's object custom field account type with the account type information entered in the flow. So what we've done so far, right, is account name and account type. Name on account and account type. So that's what somebody enters in on the screen. And then we then take that information and then we add that to an employee to the record. And we're going to set these values and we're going to store these values. Now we need a new, I think it's going to be an Apex action as well, to update the user object's custom field account type with information entered in the flow. Use the last name field on the user object to specify the user to be updated. And again, ideally, if we're doing this for real, we'd have some sort of key or something, or code, some string of text that was a unique identifier for the user, because you're not going to identify people based off their last name. And then once we've completed this, run the flow. For name on account, use Jones. For account type, use purchasing. And I think this run means like is that the debug? All right, so let's try this. Update the flow you created with in this unit with a new step. This step must update the user's object custom field account type. With the account type information entered in the flow. Use the last. Update the flow you create in this unit with a new step. User object. Everybody just came home, which is good, but that's what we hear a dog barking. If you hear a dog barking, that's why. Update the flow you created in this unit with a new step. Let me let the dog out. And I can't let the dog out because the painter is still painting. Update the flow you created in this unit with a new step. The step must update the user's object's custom field. Yeah, come on. Add a step to the flow you created in this unit so it updates the account type field on the specified user record. Account type field. Account type. you created a flow. So this is what we've done so far. You created a flow that uses the bank services API to add a new bank record, which includes the last name of an employee who's approved to sign on the account. The updated flow should allow you to specify this user, and the user record should reflect the account permission granted. In other words, we want to update the specified user's account type field with the account type information entered in the flow. So let's update the user's options. Account type with account type. Here's account type. That's an input value. Use the last name field on the user object to specify the user to be updated. I don't really understand what I'm trying to do. Gosh, I feel so dumb right now. Add a step to the flow you create in this unit so that it updates the account type field on the specified user record. You created a flow that uses the bank services API to add a new bank record. Person enters in this information. That then adds a new employee record. Includes the last name of an employee who's approved to sign the account. So, right, so somebody's going to go ahead and fill something out, and then it's going to be like, okay, this is going to get routed to this person. Okay? Which includes the last name of the employee who's approved to sign the account. The updated flow should allow you to specify this user, and the user record should reflect the type of account permission granted. In other words, you're wanting to update the specified user's account type field with the account type information entered in the flow. I'm missing a period here, or a colon or something. Update the flow you created in this unit with a new step. The step must update, so we'll update the flow. Here's the flow I created. The step must update the user's object's custom field. Which step is going to do that? Update records? Step must update the user object's custom field. Account type. With the account type information entered in the flow. Okay, let's pick a label for this. Specify user. Update the specified user. Update the specified user's account type field with the account type information. Update user. Update the specified user. Good. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to update the specified user's account type field with the account type information entered in the flow. Okay. Use the IDs and field values from a record or record collection. Or specify conditions. Are we selecting records to update, or are we selecting update records of this object type? The user object's custom field. So it looks like we want the user object. So the field is account type, custom, with the account type information entered in the flow. So this is a condition. With the account type entered in the flow as a screen component. Oh, so use the last name field in the user object to specify the user to be updated. Field last name is I'm totally not confident about this. For name of the account, use Jones. Purchasing. Can't look. I gotta look. If I don't look, I won't know. Oh my gosh! Ah! I can't believe I did that. What did I just do? Okay. So I had to update records was the way to go about doing this one. You enter information on the screen. The Apex action then took that information and added it to the database. And then this updated the user's information, updated the account type with the fields. That's still fuzzy, but I'm pretty darn proud of that one. Thanks for watching.